Hi guys, before I start this video, I'd just like to let you know very quickly that recently I set up a little thing called Buy Me a Coffee. You might have heard of it. It's just a little thing where you as a viewer or a subscriber or a watcher of my videos can show a small token of appreciation for the content provided on this channel and the effort that goes into doing it. It's not as easy as it might seem, believe me. And it's just kind of the equivalent of a cup of coffee. I like caramel macchiatos, that's my favorite. But yeah, the link is in the description. It's a really easy thing and it's just something I set up and I just wanted to let you guys know about it. So on to the video. Hi guys, it's Ouch110. How is everyone doing? Good, I hope. Recently I did a little poll on my community tab thing, which is a relatively new thing on YouTube, and I really like it because it gets you guys involved. I did a poll with 4 fragrances and asked you guys which one you most wanted to see reviewed next, and almost half of you chose this one, so here we are. Today I'm reviewing one of the new fragrances to come from Guerlain, and it's called Iris TORRÉFIÉ. I always want to call it Iris Toffifee. Toffifee, you know those sweets, those things that look really nice on the packet and then you eat them and you go, ugh. Yeah, those things. Anyway, it means roasted. It means roasted iris or cooked iris, something along those lines. I think it's pretty much roasted iris. And this is part of their L'Art et la Matière line. It's art and materials. It's one of their posh lines, I call it. They come in those beautiful bottles, and some of the famous ones are Tonka Imperial and I think Kir Beluga. There's quite a few that are well known, possibly Iris Ganache. I'm not sure if that was part of the same line or not. Anyway, it's a focus on materials and luxurious materials, and they're £185. They're kind of pricey. The nose behind this one is Delphine Yelk. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. It might be Jelk, but I'm pretty sure it's Yelk. She's worked quite a lot with Guerlain. She's worked with multiple brands, but the main body of her work has been with Guerlain. She's done some of the Aqua Allegoria fragrances. She's done some of the many iterations of Le Petit Robe Noir, as well as Mon Guerlain as well. But she made this one, and I was sent a sample of it by my lovely friend Peter. So thank you, Peter, for letting me try this. I'm a Guerlain fan and I'm always wanting to try new things. So I've been wearing it, I've been trying it. So let me tell you the notes. So the top notes are coffee, bergamot and cardamom. The heart notes are iris pallida or pallida, ambrette, sorry. Ambrette is also known as muskmallow. It's what perfumers use to impart a kind of animalic dirtiness to a fragrance instead of using real musk, which is of course cruel to animals. And the base notes are vanilla tincture, sandalwood and apopanine. So if you don't know what apopanine is, I kind of figured out that it's apopanax. It must be maybe a derivative of it or an extraction or a molecule that's found in apopanax. And what apopanax is a resin. It's a warm, sweet, ambery, resinous note. It's one of the main resin, well, it is the main resinous note of Shalimar, if you like Shalimar by Guerlain, since we're talking about that brand. And yeah, it's really lovely. It's an ambery, warm note. So that's the note list for this Iris TORRÉFIÉ roasted extravaganza. Now, what I will say about this fragrance is Guerlain have done some sort of mind-bending trickerization, trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. Okay, they're saying that it's a coffee iris perfume. You're not going to fool me that easily, Guerlain. So when you first spray this, really full-bodied, it's all fireworks. The iris here is earthy. I'm going to say orris because it's only sometimes when a perfume lists iris as a note that it's a fantasy accord of the flower. Usually in perfumery, it's the root of the plant that's distilled, and it imparts or gives that makeup-y, leathery, powdery, waxy, earthy, rooty type smell, which is very beautiful. It's a very expensive material as well. So I can imagine that my birds are going to fall off of their perch and almost die. I can imagine that because of the price of this and the fact that it's Guerlain and they love an iris, that it's probably real orris root in here. However, where does the trickery come into play? So, having smelled so many perfumes, I can tell you that you're not smelling coffee here. What they've done is they've used Immortelle instead. And it's very clever because what they've done is it smells like iris and Immortelle at first, and Immortelle, probably among other things, is giving a savoury feeling to the perfume. Immortelle being my least favourite note, unfortunately, but that's why I know that it's in here, because I'm like, oh gosh, it's Immortelle. Immortelle, if you've never smelled it, is to me it's like a sun-scorched, dusty floral smell, which is somewhere between Indian cooking spices and maple syrup, and it's in here in abundance. So what it does is Guerlain are trying to create the illusion of a roasted or savoury feeling, but it doesn't actually smell like coffee. If you're thinking you're going to get a coffee iris, you know, like you've walked into a Starbucks and you can you're sitting next to someone that's wearing an iris perfume, it is not that, unfortunately. So I hope that I helped someone along the way if they were hoping for a full-blown coffee smell. It is not. It is, however, savoury, and it does, because Immortelle is to me, kind of sun-scorched, dry, spicy floral note. It does feel like if you're presented with it, you can say, okay, I guess I can reach and feel like it smells like coffee, but it really isn't. Perfumers do this a lot. They do it with things like cherry and almond. They can present you with, this is cherry you're smelling, when really it's the aldehyde that smells like almonds, and they're very, very interchangeable in your brain. It's the same with fig and coconut. Both of those things share a very similar scent molecule where, depending on how it's presented, you can be tricked into thinking you're smelling something else. This is exactly what's happening here. So that's the opening. The opening doesn't stay prominent for very long. I'm talking probably half an hour, and then the fragrance changes. This is where it becomes powdery. It's like the texture opens up, it becomes a lot more pretty, it becomes a lot more familiar. If you've smelled pretty iris perfumes that lean more powdery as opposed to earthy, things like La Tessa by Masque Milano, it's that really gorgeous interpretation of Oris or Iris where it's a bit fluttery and it's kind of feminine and elegant. So it goes from something a little bit dark and unusual to we're in familiar territory with this beautiful iris, which I've smelled before, but is still pleasant no matter how you look at it. About 2 or 3 hours after that, the fragrance changes again, and not in the best way. It kind of peters out a little bit. All of the fireworks and unusualness that was in the opening, not coffee, I will say that again, kind of vanishes. The Immortelle makes a bit more of an appearance because it does disappear in the middle part. What you're left with is a much more toned down version of what it smelled like in the beginning. Yeah, people say it smells leathery, but that's because of Oris. Oris root is a leathery note in itself. So I would say £185, not for me, no thanks. I'm sure there are other ones in the line that are much better, but ultimately you have an Immortelle Iris combination, turns really pretty and then kind of fizzles out into a little bit of a meh, unfortunately. If it was a bit cheaper, no, I probably still wouldn't buy this even if it was cheaper. Yeah, it's presented well. Guerlain know how to make you want to buy their perfumes with their gorgeous packaging, and you know, it's very sleek, very elegant, classy, but this fragrance has left me underwhelmed. It's not super projecting either. It's kind of medium, you know, you can definitely feel it at the beginning, but it's all top heavy. It's all about the opening, and then it just kind of fizzles. Longevity isn't that great on me either. I would say probably about 4 or 5 hours. I've done multiple skin tests with this perfume, and I'm really, you know, I really have to try and find it after about 5 hours. I'm like, where's that dry down? What am I gonna say in my review? For me, not so great, but you guys wanted to hear about this one, so I am actually going to review the newer Serge Lutens fragrance as well, because that one was second highest voted, so that one will be coming up shortly. For now, I'm Alex Romano, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. I'll speak to you guys soon. Goodbye.